Hey, everybody, welcome to February 21st, 2023. I was just telling Steve, I cannot believe we are
Mm.
already into February of this year. The time is just flying fast. Someone told me that the days are long, but the years are short. Steve, is that how it figured out to be true for you?
Boy, my goodness. Yeah. Here I am at 73 years old, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I was just 45 yesterday. What happened?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
golly.
Seems like yesterday I was 20. It goes by quick. But hey, you know what? We've got lots of good stuff to look forward to each and every day. And especially as we get older, as we get wiser, as we grow, we're all of a sudden able to start absorbing things and processing things that maybe we couldn't quite get before. And man, I'll tell you what, when it comes to the mule and the donkey, if you can process a few truths here or there, you can have a really enjoyable experience. Folks, we're so glad that you are here. Hopefully, this will be an enjoyable experience for you. We get together every week to talk about mules and donkeys. My name's Dave. This is Steve Edwards, the Steve Edwards. And if you ever make any type of purchase online, yes, it is going to be the Steve Edwards. No, I mean, not any purchase. I guess you could go to Amazon or like Best Buy or something and order something. Steve's not going to call you then. But if you go to Queen Valley Mule Ranch, muleranch.com, this is the man that's going to be calling you on the phone to make sure that you get exactly what it is you need to get out there and get the results that you want. Yes, that is true. And we do talk mule and donkey every week, and today is no exception. Here are the three things that we ask of these programs. So if you're new, this is going to be great information. And if you're not new, if you're one of our faithful and true, you're going to appreciate that we are consistent in asking for number one, your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. As we say just about every week, we could get together and Steve and I talk, shoot the breeze, but that's really not what this is for. This is for us to get together with everybody and enjoy being together. Now, while we might not be face to face, although you can see him face to face in Montana and maybe a few other places, we'll talk about that later. While you can't maybe be face to face right now, this is a pretty good second place finish where you can hang out with us and get to number two, which is ask any and every mule or donkey question that you've got. And so that puts us in touch with you, with what you've got going on. We can encourage you. We can provide some support. I know Linda the mule servant will be showing up. I know Eileen will be showing up. I know that Yolanda shows up. I know that David shows up. All these folks are going to be in the chat, ready to encourage you, ready to just give you the type of inspiration that you need to get out there and not quit. Because if you quit, well, then at that point, it was a failure. But if you don't quit, if you don't give up, it's never a failure, and you're always closer to succeeding. So that is the second. Ask any and every mule and donkey question that you've got, because we want to get you answers. We want to get you help. And the third thing is we ask that you share the broadcast. On YouTube, it's simple. Just click all the buttons, primarily the ones that say like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We love those. And then the second way you could do it over on Facebook is by tagging a friend or family member in the comments, just like you would any other post, or by clicking share on the broadcast. Steve, how have things been since last week?
Well, been keeping plenty busy. We've had rain today, almost a half an inch. Pretty nice. We have Lost Dutchman Days coming up. That's a rodeo. It's a parade. It got all kinds of stuff. Lost Dutchman was a high grader that put in what they called a mine over here. He basically took gold that he got from Wickenburg in the Vulture mine, shot it into the rocks into a cave. Then he'd bring people out and say, if you come out and see, you can probably dig your own gold, and then you can invest in my gold mine. And the long story short, he didn't last too long. But anyway, that's coming up. And guess what? We're having Cowboy Church there at the rodeo grounds. Now, get this, Dave, the 30th year. I've been doing Cowboy Church for Lost Dutchman Days for going on 30 years now. And I can still remember when when I first went over there and they had a brand new rodeo grounds and stuff, and I was a JC and I drank way too much and did way too many bad things. But anyway, I said to them, we're going to have Cowboy Church. And he said, nope, They don't do church and no rodeos. Don't do that. That was 30 years ago, Dave. And now they're still calling me today. Hey, can we have cowboy church? And it's a big draw. It's a good lick. But we got several things to share, don't we, Dave?
We do have several things to share. First and foremost, I want to say hello to our friend here. Is this David Pengelly?
Hey, there he is. My buddy. Yep. This here is the rocket man of the coffee. Yes, sirree. And notice one of the things, you didn't see the statement that he had on the text, but it said, unfortunately, I don't have a mule, but I do have a good mule t-shirt. Yeah, how about that? Yeah,
that's very good. We really enjoy seeing that come in. So y'all, we've got these shirts, but if you didn't know, we've got the hats too. Steve is a model. You guys didn't know this, but he moonlights as a model. He really only has two products. One is a shirt, the other one's a hat. And the only person he really models for is friends and family, and then, of course, us here. But, hey, don't tell him that. He thinks he's made it to the big time. Check out that hat there, Steve. Looking pretty good.
Yeah. Pengelly, guess what? Two things are going to happen pretty soon. I'm pointing at you. We're going to have, remember that American Mule and Donkey show and Bluegrass Festival that you came to? I'm going to do it again this year. Last week of September. And guess what else is going to happen, Pengelly? I'm coming to see you first. Make sure you got me a cup of coffee.
That's right. That's right. You hear that? He is making promises and taking names right there. Steve, so we've got the t-shirts. I put that in the comment section. Folks have been sending in their photos. We love seeing those. Thank you, everyone. And be sure to keep sending those in. If you get your shirt, send in those photos. We want to see them. The second thing is we did just add the hats, and we'd love to get those hats out to you. You can see in the comment section a link to get your very own Queen Valley Mule Ranch trucker hat. And Steve, I also noticed that you got another new hat. Why don't you tell us the story behind this one right here?
Yes, sir. This is a very, very, very special hat. Probably one of the most wonderful gifts that I've got. I had my Uncle George went home to be with Jesus here about 3 weeks ago at 87 years old. And George used to come out here during the winter time from Kansas City because it's kind of cold out there. And he used to come out here and help me train mules. Well, he held the lead rope and things like that. But he was a wonderful man of God. I mean to tell you, incredible. And he always wore this hat. And one of the things that I asked for when my cousin, we got to talking about it, he said, is there anything you want of George's? And I said, I'd like to have that gray hat. And so here it is. They sent it to me in the box, and it's a treasured gift. And I've got one of the original Queen Valley Mule Ranch caps too that I'll share next week. But that's the thing with this here special hat.
That's very cool. Thank you for sharing that, Steve. Appreciate it. I know that it's always sad to lose a friend or family member, but I do love when you've got something special to be able to take from them. My granddaddy passed away over 10 years ago. I mean, it's probably closer to 15, 20 years now. And so I was out in Kentucky a year and a half ago hanging out with my aunt. And she took me into her garage where she had just all this stuff from her childhood and me growing up as a grandkid. And she opened up this box, and inside was all of my granddaddy's military insignias and patches and medals and things like that. And so I was able to take a couple of his badges. I was able to take a set of dog tags. And then I got several buttons from his military issue jacket. The moss had eaten up the jacket so bad that it wasn't worth saving, but she saved the buttons. And so it's really cool to be able to keep something like that and then have it and be able to share it. And so I share that with my boys. And so I'm grateful for it. I appreciate you sharing that, folks. Thank you for being here, hanging out. And like I said, the way this works, you drive the conversation. Go ahead and put any and every mule or donkey question in the comments section. With that, we're going to say hello to Mr. Dave O'Brien coming in live from East Texas, where it's 80 degrees and sunny. Mr. Merlin is watching from Northwest Minnesota live. Not only does Mr. Merlin watch live, Mr. Merlin, I think, watches every single episode that we've got on YouTube and comments on all of them. And he's got very good reason. It's -2 degrees, but sunny out in Minnesota, so he's staying warm. Johnson Taxidermy, Mr. Sherman Johnson is watching from Oklahoma, 60s and nice. Bucky Stewart over on YouTube is watching from sunny Devore Heights, California. I have received a call from Steve a couple of times on my order. There you go. You've got someone telling you that it is the truth. You will receive a call from Mr. Steve Edwards when you place an order because we care, and that is genuinely the truth. Sabrina is watching from Citral Valley, California, 60 degrees. Miss Backwoods, otherwise known as Linda and Ryan, watching from northern Maine. Cowboy Ken, 38 degrees, and it is raining. Polly is watching from Barnesville, Minnesota, +4. I guess that's better than -4. Snowing now, and we have a blizzard warning. We've got a wind warning coming in here to Arizona tonight. It should be like 50-mile-per-hour gusts, something like that. So brace yourselves. Aaron is watching. Thanks for the share, David. Haven't watched for a while. And hello to everyone else from Ballarat, Victoria, Australia, where the sun is shining. That means we've gone international. Good to have you here, Aaron. Lamar is watching. Steve and Dave, been a while. Price, Utah, cloudy. Storms moving in. 34 degrees. Steve, how can I get my mule, Miss Kitty, to get into a full lope? Chasing cows, she is stiff-legged, not a lope. So, Steve, what is a lope? What is a full lope? And how can Lamar get his Missy to, or his Miss Kitty to follow instruction?
Dogs don't like kitties, so get a dog back behind Miss Kitty. Say, "Get him, dog! Get the kitty! Get the kitty!" No, I just know that's wrong. Okay, so here's the deal. All right, we have to have what's called a lead departure, and I was just discussing that today with a lady, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So in order to go into a canter or a lope, they're the same thing. What it is when you go out of a walk, out of a trot, and into a very easy, fast-moving canter, lope. And it's nice and smooth and goes. You can do an extended one as well and go faster, and you can do an all-out run. Okay, so how do we do that? We have to build a foundation to do that, and we have to drive off of the hind quarters. So in order for your mule to do a good lead departure, they need to learn how to side pass, turn on the forehand, turn on the hind quarters first. So turn on the forehand where the back end stays front end stays in place and the back end goes around. Side pass is where both front and rear cross and they go to the side. Turn on the hind quarters is where the mule stays in place in the back end and the front end goes around. So in order to do a proper lead departure to go into a canter, you drive off of the left rear leg, which then will put you into a right front leg, which then gives you a right lead. So when you say lead, that is the one that the front leg is actually going out first, then the left rear, right rear, and then the right front. And then you go off into a circle, into a lead. Circle, loping a circle. Now, again, boy, Dave, it's coming down in buckets of rain out here right now. It's amazing. I mean, it's coming down so heavy that it looks like a water hose is spraying off of my roof.
That's the way it was out here earlier today. It was hitting hard.
Wow, that's really cool. I mean, before we had a half-inch of rain. Now it's really come down. We really get optimum. Anyway, so let's look at this. So first, teach your mule side pass, turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters. Now, so this is what I would do. They know how to side pass, they know how to turn on the forehand, and they know how to go in the hindquarters. So you take your right hand and let's go back, your tools. You need the mule rider's martingale, which is a snaffle bit, double twisted wire, which a lot of you have on the bridle and on the reins. And what the martingale does, it sets the head, which you've seen on some of our pictures about surf singling and stuff, sets the nose on the vertical and drops the head down automatically without you, the rider, doing that. All right. Now, so I want to get the right lead out. So I have to take my right hand, turn it up. That then brings the right leg up. And I use my left leg on the mule on the back side of the stirrup. So the center side of the stirrup, you side pass. The back side of the stirrup, you turn on the forehand so that the back end moves over and the front end goes. So when you go with your hand up, bump them with the spur, that then puts them into a right lead departure. Now you can go from a dead stop and do it, or you can go from a walk and go into the lead departure, or you can go from a trot into the lead departure. Now, why is the lead departure so important? Because without the lead departure, what the mule would do, he doesn't have mechanically his spine and front legs and back legs into place in order to be able to go into the proper right lead. If you just try to go in from a trot and go into a canter, yes, you can do it, but here's what happens. The mule kicks out with both hind legs and basically saying, hey, I'm hurting here. My spine and my hips aren't in the right place. And so he'll do a kick up. And a lot of people say, oh, he bucked on me. No, he didn't buck. He didn't buck. What he did was you didn't have him in a proper lead departure. So his back and his hips weren't in the correct place. And it hurt him to go out on a right lead, to go into a canter or a lope. See, I was talking to a lady today, and she was wanting to get a bit. And right now, my 5.5 bits, my 5.5 inches, will be 2 weeks, and I should start seeing them. Should start seeing the bits. That's another story, Dave. So anyway, she said, so I need to go a 5.5 rather than a 5. And I said, did you measure first? She says, no. What he's doing is he's getting his tongue over the bit. And I said, no. What's happening is he's telling you you have the bit too far up in his mouth, and he's trying to get the bit in his mouth so he can be comfortable, and he can't do it because you created 1 wrinkle or 2 wrinkles. Horsemen do that, not mule folks. Mule folks understand that the mule, the donkey, will ask questions about the bit. What they do is they'll put their tongue over it. They'll put their tongue on the side. They'll put their tongue all kinds of places. They'll gap their mouth. All they're doing is saying, okay, if I put the bit here, will I be comfortable? If I put the bit here, will I be comfortable? If you see the idea, folks, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we do. And horsemen do this because they push training rather than show training. Okay? Horsemen are really bad about pushing that. Anyway, let's go back. So what happens is when the bit is hanging down, bumping the front teeth on a mule, John Mule has a canine, which is between the incisors, the front teeth, and the molars, which are in the back. They have a canine out there. So the bit is going to hang down, bumping that canine. It's going to make the mule uncomfortable, so he will pick it up and put it down, so that he can keep the bit from bumping. He will then show you exactly where that bit needs to be. One of the nice things I like to say to people to start with the Mule Rider's martingale is because it's lighter. If you start right in with my finished bit, start right off the bat, you're going to have a difficult time because the Mule Rider's martingale, as any snaffle does, comes right from the corner of the mouth and on the tongue. Where the finished bit goes on the corners of the mouth, there's no tongue pressure because it has a slight little Mona Lisa mouthpiece, which rests on the roof of the mouth. So you have two different bits for different ways of communicating to your mule. So you didn't think it was going to be this long, did you? Okay. And I'm still not even done yet. And I realize that this is a lot to think about, that I've got to do all this to go into a canter. Well, heck, I can just go into a trot and go into a canter, but that's not good for the mule, folks. I want you to think about what is good for the mule. What's the best for the mule? Isn't it best to have his body correct? Therefore, you're communicating correctly. That's important for you to remember, folks. You're communicating. You're not making him do it. You're showing him an easy way of doing it. Okay, so let's go back. So if you want to canter properly and you want your mule to be comfortable and you don't want him bucking and jumping, teach him to turn on a forehand, turn on the hindquarters, and side pass. Now, I'm just about done, Dave. Now, I had a lady call me and she says, I'm going to change out the bits. He's making his mouth move around, and I told you that whole story. Okay. Now she tells me that she had a horse in front of her, and all of a sudden the horse just cantered off. And so she didn't know what to do. So the mule just went off at a trot and then went into a canter. So she calls me, she says, is it okay if my mule goes into a canter with a breeching on? I said, yeah, that doesn't bother him. If the saddle is setting correctly on the mule's back and the breeching is adjusted correctly, it's not going to be a problem. Okay, now let's go back. And she said, my mule went ahead and went with this other mule. And it was a nice canter. And I said, here's the problem that you got. Here's the problem. That mule went because the lead of the herd, which was the horse, that leader decided to take off. So what's the herd going to do? The herd of the one mule is going to go with him. Hey, herd leader's going, I got to go. No, wait a minute. What happens if the herd leader got scared and is now a runaway, and you want to be a runaway with them? What happens if you run out in traffic and get hit by a car? Oh, what happens if you run over top of somebody in a bicycle because you got no control? She said, well, I didn't think about that. I said, well, that's the problem. You see, everybody thinks put the magic bit in there and everything's going to work out just right. No, folks. There are steps to putting them in a trailer, to stopping them, to turning them. There are steps to train them to do it. And if you will go by the steps, you're going to have a nice, riding, comfortable mule. Okay, very, very important. So here she was. She was in a runaway, had no idea it was a runaway. She was a good rider, evidently, because she stayed on. But I can't tell you how many riders have fallen and hit the ground simply because they got scared. Okay. So now I said to her, she says, well, where do I start, Steve? What would I tell her? Okay. Now, what would I tell her? Now, Dave, we're going to ask us this question of everybody. Where would I tell her to start? And the person that has the right answer is going to get, it's going to get
it.
First, none of these hats have been sold yet. But if I was to tell her where to start, where would I tell her? All right. Come up with that answer, Dave, as we go along here. What's the next question?
All right. Next question. This one came in on a comment on YouTube. Christina says, I bought a mule that was going to the slaughter. She is sweet as can be, and I hope to keep her that way. What should I know? Now, I've got an article that you wrote, Rescuing Donkeys and Mules where we talk. We don't typically advocate to go into a kill pen to rescue. A lot of times they're there. That said, most folks have already rescued, and so the article goes into what you can do. Steve, in addition to what we've got in that article, what are some baseline things you'd tell Christina?
Well, just get education. You can go online and you can get books and videos, and you can watch different people training. Watch those people and make a decision which one is giving you the best advice, and then follow that person for the training. All right? For the training. What should you know? I've got 50 years and I don't have all the knowledge yet. Okay? What should I know? I know that I need to not get in the saddle. I need to start with good, solid, basic groundwork. That's where I need to start. That's where you need to start. Where people make mistakes, Dave, they get the cart before the horse. Well, we're going to go ahead and go drive. Well, I was told I was going to drive. Well, wait a minute. Why not do groundwork first to see what the mule knows? Or better yet, why not do groundwork to see what you know or what you don't know about the mule? Okay, now, you folks have heard me say this before. If I can't pick up all 4 feet, I don't ride the mule. If I can't walk out and just collect the mule pretty easy and walk it over with my come along rope, I don't ride the mule. If the mule don't stand still and quiet while I'm trying to brush it, I don't ride the mule. Okay? And I can go on and on and on and on. What should you know? Go online. You can go to our website, www.muleranch.com, and you can see what I have there. I think, Dave, don't we have somewhere like 400 and plus videos on YouTube?
It's almost countless at this point. They just keep updating and updating, but it's all there online. A lot of what you're going to find on YouTube, they're going to be individual frames, individual moments, okay? And it may help you with a little bit here, a little bit there. If you've got a very specific problem, or you're looking for very general overview of information, that's what you're going to find on YouTube. When you come down to a structured training program, that's where you get into some of the instructional DVDs that are available for purchase. These are the DVDs where we have gone out, we have traveled, we have found the people who are working with these animals in different situations where we know other folks are going to need. So we've gone out, we've done all the work, we've done all the travel, we've done all the videoing, we've done all the editing, and we've put it together in large video format so that you can watch from beginning to end. And where one section of training drops off, the next begins. Like we've got the problem mule, building a new foundation. Of course, there's a lot of different things you could go, but a natural progression, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, would be build problem mule, building a new foundation. And then from there, you may go into first ride, or maybe you'll do some mule riders, martingale, and first ride video. And so there are some progressions, but really the instructional DVDs give you a start to finish instructional, program, so to speak, for the different phases, whereas YouTube's going to give you individual pictures, individual scenarios. And it's all valuable. It's all good. The YouTube stuff is free. And yes, that's right, free. The stuff on the website, some of it's going to be... But yeah, that's right. Some of it's going to be free on the website. Some of it's going to be paid. Some of it's going to be simple. Some of it's going to take some time. It just really depends on where you're at in your training and what you're needed. Hopping back over onto the chat, let's see who else is hanging out with us now. We've got Dory here from Virginia. Beautiful day, sunny and 60s. I like that special hat. Nice. Carla is watching from northern British Columbia in Canada. Sunny, negative 20, lots of snow. We've got Debbie watching from Iowa where it's cold. Susan is watching from Wisconsin where it's 19 degrees and the winter storm is coming. Gerald is watching from Arkansas. Nice today, 60 degrees. Jim from Western Michigan, 52 degrees, watching where it is clear. Matthew is watching and asks, are pine pellets okay for the stall floor with dirt underneath? What are pine pellets, and are those okay for the stall floor with dirt underneath?
Okay, so what people have done is they've taken pine wood and they've chopped it up so it's in a pellet form, and people use it for bedding and this sort of thing. It can be okay, but it also can be a detriment, because here's the problem. If the mule gets to thinking I got to chew on something and then finds the pellets, you can easily get one to get colicked up. I can tell you several years ago, now this was a horse, it wasn't a mule. Mules are a lot more intelligent when it comes to this. But what happened was this horse started eating pine needles. We had the corrals were underneath pine trees, and pine needles were hitting on the ground. She got impacted, and we had to put her down, and because she colicked. So I would be very careful. Here's my favorite thing to use, folks. Okay, my very favorite thing: use quarter minus granite. Quarter minus granite. Okay, and it packs nice. It's easy to clean. Water hits it, it runs off, but it stays packed nice too. So in my corrals, which we've sent pictures of before, the area where the mule feeds is higher by about 2 inches to 3 inches than where the mule will stand and go out to water and this sort of thing. The water is over in the right-hand corner of the corral, and the feeder, which is a 55-gallon plastic barrel, is sitting in the middle with one quarter of it opened up where the mule can get his head down in to get to the pellets. And yes, I feed pellets. So I would be very, very careful. I've seen animals eat, they have bedding, which is wood chips. And I've seen animals eat those and actually colic out as well. A lot of times they'll eat because they'll stress out because of weather, especially horses. But I'd be pretty careful with that. I would sure be watching close. And the other thing too, folks, when it comes down to colic, and when it comes down to an animal doing that, they will all colic, horses, mules, and all. I like to give 1 cup of brand beet pulp each day. That's wet down, so it's kind of easy to chew. And I put a little bit of whole oats in it, just a very little bit, maybe even a 1/4 cup of oats, and I'll put that in their feed so it will help their digestive system. So I'd be really careful about this pellet pine.
Very good. Thank you for the question, Matthew. Thank you for the answer. Let's see here. David Pengelly goes, I just got here. Can you start all over again? Well, we'll say hello there. We got a little gift here from you, a picture here, and very excited to receive that. Thanks for sending it in. We talked about you a little bit at the beginning, so you can go back there, check it out. That'll be a fun little treat for you after the show's over. Myra is watching from Southern California. Thanks for all the rein and cue instructions. It's helped me develop better mule communication versus horse habits. Yes, that's what we want. Mule communication versus horse habits. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to read off a few here for the answer. Now, what was the question, Steve? Tell folks the question one more time.
Okay.
Something about where do I start with?
Yeah, okay. So if I was to tell this lady who just got her mule from a kill pen, she wanted to know what kind of things should I know? Oh my goodness. We're talking hundreds, thousands of things did you know. But where would I start? Where would I start to tell this lady, this is where you need to start, and then go from there? Where would I start?
So we've got answers here. We have come along hitch. We've got on the ground. We've got groundwork, on the ground. Start with ground foundation work, groundwork, groundwork. You told her groundwork with the ground foundation starter kit. Groundwork, come along, surcingle. Specifically the come along rope. What is the answer you were looking for, Mr. Steve?
Ground foundation. Hear that? Foundation. Steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not 5, 10, 9, 6, 2, 3. Foundation. Ground, not just the come along hitch, folks, but you want to build a foundation. It's not just to lead from A to B, but to get them to go around in a circle, to stop, to back up. Build a foundation. Perfect. So the one that says ground foundation, they get a hat.
Mr.
All you
David
have to
O'Brien. Dave O'Brien
Dave
said
O'Brien.
ground foundation work. We had some that were very, very close.
Yeah.
But we were looking for foundation, and Dave O'Brien gave us foundation. That was fun. Appreciate that. Dave, you know how to get a hold of Steve. Let him know where to send your hat.
Yeah. I do know, but just as long as I'll forget as soon as we leave here. So just Dave just text me and say, hey, send me the hat. We got it.
There we go. There we go. Okay, thank you guys for participating. Hey, just a reminder right here, we've got Steve showing off the hat. We've got David Pengelly here showing off the shirt. And, hey, how about this? We've got the Montana Clinic coming up. That's going to be a lot of fun. Montana Clinic, June 2 through 4. This is going to be in Superior, Montana. Y'all can get registered for that. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be. Steve, remind me what the topic is again. I'm drawing a blank here.
I just did right there. I lost it.
We were talking about so many different things here. It's going to be.
Not how to communicate with your mule, but.
Are you listening to your mule? That's it right there. Are you listening to your mule? Folks, you can you can sign up to be a spectator. You can sign up to be a participant. Either which way, it's going to be a fantastic experience. I'm going to put a link in the comment section. Y'all can check that out. It's got all of the details that you're going to need in order to get signed up and make sure that you got lodging taken care of. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us and let us know. Carrying right along here. Let's see. We've got Mari is watching from 50 Degree Cold Wind, Missouri. Question: how do I ground tie a yearling donkey? So 3 questions here. What is a ground tie? What's a yearling donkey? And then how do I do it?
Okay. So it makes no difference if it's a yearling or if it's 25 years old. I'm always going to start with the ground communication. I'm going to use which the ground communication kit has a video how to. You know me, I want to teach you how to do it. Just don't want to send it to you. So how-to video, the come along rope, and the halter. Take the halter, hang it on the nail, come and visit it in about 4 or 5 months. Halters are not important. Come along rope is important. So you are first going to build a foundation with the come along rope. You're going to teach your donkey how to go right to the left, go around in a circle, back up, stop, go forward. You're going to be doing all this stuff. Now listen, folks, listen. This is just as much for you as it is for your donkey. It's just as much for you as it is for your mule, okay? Because here's the deal. You move your hand, you're talking to your mule. You move your hand, you're also listening to the mule. Does the mule go, what? Does the mule go, oh, okay. Okay. Talking and listening. Every time you move your hand, you are speaking to your donkey. Every time you move your shoulders, you're speaking to your mule. Every time you move your head, you're speaking to your donkey. You got that? Folks, what am I saying? They are watching every move that you make so that they understand how you're communicating so that they know what to do. Now look, one of the things I've mentioned to you time and time again is if a new mule wants to come in and visit the herd leader, It's going to duck its head and it's going to lick its lips, asking for permission to come into the herd. If you are walking toward that mule, if you're going toward that donkey, and you look down to see where you're stepping and look back up, you just said to that donkey, I recognize you as herd leader, and they will and they will follow you. That's what they're thinking. You see? But if you look them straight in the eye, squared shoulder, look them straight in the eye, and walk toward that mule shoulder, go toward that donkey's shoulder, not to the head. The head does four things: back up, go to the left, go to the right, stop. So I'm going to go to the shoulder because that is neutral ground. That's neutral. That's the place you see all the other animals rubbing on each other, nibbling on each other and stuff in the shoulder area, friends, but also leaders at the same way. So that's what you're going to do. Okay. So that's all part of communication. How you do that.
Awesome. Very good. Next, let's see. Oh, did I get lost up here? Okay. Our Myra says our groundwork is going well. What technique is best to stop a runaway mule wearing the trail rider's bit? What's the best way to stop a runaway mule wearing the trail rider's bit?
Okay, so first of all, we're going to do our foundational training. That is the surcingle with the breeching, with the martingale attached to the surcingle, so that when we've got pictures of that, so that the mule is learning to respond to the bit, i.e., nose on the vertical and head down. Now, I am riding my mule, and now I am satisfied with the ground foundation. I am satisfied with the martingale foundation. I am satisfied with those. And so now I'm riding, and all of a sudden, because the donkey is an equine, flight and fright is part of being of their life. That is how they keep from being eaten, because they are eating, they're on the bottom of the food chain. So when they flight, i.e. take off, they're thinking, I've got to protect myself and take off, run from the problem. Okay? I don't care if they've seen a turkey 10,000 times. 10,001 times, all of a sudden now that turkey's different and he took off running. So now, what do I do to stop? Okay? I've done all my ground foundation. He still runs off. Yes, they will. So now this is what we're going to do. We're going to take our hands and we're going to go. See, my hands are in ice cream cone position. Okay? We're going to go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and go real fast. If I have to, I'm going to increase the intensity. What I am not going to do, see, by doing that, that makes them stop straight. What I am not going to do is pick up on one rein and disengage hindquarters. That is horse training. Mules run through their shoulders. I have seen people pick up on one rein to get them to do a one rein stop, and the mule run just as fast straight ahead, at an angle, I should say, than they did straight ahead. I do a lot of work with attorneys when we have problems where mules and donkeys have been in accidents. And one of the ones that I did was in Utah. And the guy that was trying to sell this lady and this man a mule, they told him right up front, this lady's not a rider. She has no idea what to do. And so they're riding along, and all of a sudden he says, I'm going to canter on up and see the other people. He should have never left that beginner rider to start with. You always ride according to the rider with the least amount of knowledge. Taking off and cantering like the lady did with the horse and the mule, that was foolishness. Okay, that was foolishness. Nobody should ever take off and just canter and clear blue sky. You should say to your other riders, can we go and canter out? Can we go and trot out? Let's go back. So what would I do? Okay. I would go right, left, right, left, right, left. That's what I would do. Right brain, listen to me. Left brain, listen to me. Right brain, listen to me. Now, before I got myself into that place, I've done my ground foundation with the surf signal. Now I'm in the saddle and I'm riding along. I'm just riding. I'm on an arena. I'm in a trail. I'm just riding along. I pick up and I'm riding in my Mule Rider's martingale, direct reining. I pick up on the reins for a stop. And as soon as I pick up on them reins, that mule should stop. Boom. Okay? Should stop. As soon as you pick up on the reins. Not when you got them 10 inches. Okay? But as soon as I pick up on that rein, that mule, if you've done your ground foundation right, that mule should stop. If he doesn't, if he chooses to put you on ignore, okay? If he chooses not to stop when you pick up on that rein, you're going to go, here's a memory, right, left, right, left. And the mule still chooses to go through the bit. I go right, left, right, left. The mule still chooses to go through the bit. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And I try, folks. Now, I know some of you ain't going to like this, but you got two choices. Either the mule goes to the hospital or you go to the hospital. And I know what your choice is going to be. You don't want to go to the hospital. And when I say when a hospital, in other words, the mule is going to be very, very uncomfortable. I'm going to do my best to tell that mule his decision of trying to hurt me by taking off is going to cost him. And he's going to have a sore mouth. And he may even have 2 strawberry patches right here. In other words, they're going to be red and maybe even bleeding. Will it grow back? Yes. Will he start learning to stop? Oh, yeah. Been there, done that. Okay. I'm going to tell you, been there, done that. I've had him run off with me. Okay. I've had him take off. Something scared him. I was riding one time. I was here about 3 years ago down at the Andrada Ranch. We was working cows, and I was riding a real nice gray mule. Nice gray mule. And I had my border collie with me, Jess, and we're riding along, we're working cattle. Now, this mule, about 24 years old at the time, folks. Okay? This mule seen cows, seen deer, seen rattlesnakes, seen javelina, seen dogs. Oh, yeah, we work cattle with dogs. Seen all of that stuff. You get that? This mule is one of them been there, done that mules. Been there, done that. All of a sudden, I'm riding along, moving cows. My border collie, puppy, comes out of the bushes in the left-hand side. Buggered the mule. The mule jumped up, started to take off, and went to bucking. I went right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, really fast, really hard. I didn't just try to be nice because this mule was intent. And I've ridden enough mules that when they're intent, I am going to do my best to not only stay in the saddle, but I'm going to get that mule to understand you're not going to do that again. Okay? Now, was it the mule's fault? No. No. Because flight and fright kicked in. The dog jumped up. Well, he's seen dogs before. Yeah. Okay. Here's my wife in the kitchen. She's cooking away, and she knows I'm in the house. She's been with me for 54 years. Hear that? Grace of God. And I come in and I say, honey, ah! What'd I do? I startled her. We see, the thing is, with 1,000 pounds of mule, when they get started and they jump and go to bucking, and they make you look like your wishbone had got broke, you'll be red, white, and blue in your groin area for about 4 months from your knees to your belly button. Yeah, it hurt. You have 1,000 pounds hit you between the legs, try it. Ouch. Okay, now let's go back. Said all that to say this. Even though he was a well-trained mule, even though he was a seasoned mule, even though I am a pretty decent rider, okay, the mule still did it. flight and fright, part of life, part of life. So what would I do? Right, left, right, left. But I would do my groundwork starting first. Then I would ride in the saddle. I would pick up on the reins. If the mule didn't stop, right, left, right, left. I would go into a trot as they progress, and I pick up on the reins. If the mule don't stop, right, left, okay? Because listen, every time that mule moves 2 feet, he's in a different world. Now, the t-shirt that Dave has there on, Dave Pingali, and the one that I showed you and the one we have, it says every day is a different day for a mule. That's exactly right. Every day is a different day for a mule. And I can take and do some training on a mule and move him 10 feet to the right, and you'd swear down he was never trained. It can happen, okay? You have to be consistent, and the mule would start being consistent. Every day is a different day for a mule.
Awesome.
And a donkey too. I got donkey t-shirts too.
We got donkey and mule. Y'all go there, pick out which one you want. That was a great question. Thank you guys for asking that. Moving right along here. Eileen says, hello, everyone. Another winter storm coming to Nebraska. Still working on getting the t-shirt photo to you guys, and we appreciate it, Eileen. We're going to love it when we get it. Hello from South Australia. Man, we must have been on the news or something in Australia. We've got all of our friends down under hanging out with us today. So that's good to have. Glad to have you all here. Cheryl says, how do I teach one to ground tie? Now, is that going to be similar to what we already talked about earlier when we were talking about the yearling?
Yeah. Okay. So first, I've talked about foundation. All right. Now, the video that I have called Wait Here. Wait Here. It shows a variety of ways to hobble these animals and to tie them so that they can graze and things like this. One of the things I talk about is teaching one to stand still and quiet. And you can also see it in my video series, How to Communicate. So here's what we do. Once the mule, now listen to this, once the mule and you, okay, Jess, leave it, do everything correctly. In other words, if they turn as you want them to, they stop when you want them to, they're doing everything as soon as you pick up on the rein, as that they're starting to do that and being consistent. Then you can start allowing the rope to go down on the ground. And then the mule, what he does, he doesn't want his nose to be uncomfortable. Good boy, Jess. Okay, that'll do. Probably a coyote out there. He doesn't want to be uncomfortable. So what he'll do is, oh, it's Mom. I see. Susan just arrived. That's why he's barking. Okay, so let's go back. So what I do is I allow the rope to go down on the ground. And what the mule don't want you to do, the mule doesn't want to have that rope on his nose. Mules and donkeys care more about their nose than they do their mouth. So therefore, the least you do, the more they'll do. So you get to where you barely can pick up on it and they'll move. Now, once that rope goes down on the ground and you back up, pushing the rope away and backing up, and that rope goes down on the ground, comes along the ground and over to your hand, that mule should stand still. You hold on to the rope, and then you move off to the left, you move off to the right. Try not to make that rope move, because if the rope moves, that mule will want to respond to the direction he's going, okay? So it's a long, big story about it. I'm giving you the general overview. Every time I talk to you folks and I tell you about some of these things, I'm telling you that I'm trying to give you an overview of things that would take me quite a bit of time to do. Don't just think you can do this in a matter of a few minutes. Building a foundation doesn't take a matter of a few minutes, it takes a matter of a few hours, okay? Hours. When it comes down to fixing a problem that somebody else has corrected, most of the time horse people, it takes hours to correct. And because it's so ingrained into them, a lot of times that stuff will come back up. It'll do it. It'll come back up. And then you have to don't think that once they are trained, they're going to stay trained. Okay? It's not going to happen. So that's how you do it. You get the rope to go down on the ground, and then you walk away. Make sure you don't pull on that rope going down to the ground, and then you hold it there. But before you do this, that mule should already be stopping as soon as you move that rope. Should be turning as soon as you move that rope. Should be backing as you hear what I'm saying, folks? In other words, you barely move that rope a half an inch, and that mule should be responding. That's how soft and good they should be doing. Don't go putting them in a trailer just because you've been able to take them around in a circle and do some stops. It's a matter of when you get it perfected, you hear that? When you perfect it and you barely pick up on that rope a half an inch, and that's a lot, the mule will respond. Okay? You get to where you even think about things, and these mules will blow you away. They'll do as you want them to do. So, how do I do it? I spend my time building a foundation with my come along rope.
Awesome. Very good. Cruising right along. We've got David is watching from Seattle, where it is Seattle weather. Eileen says, Nellie and I saw a raccoon yesterday that was in the late stage of distemper. She listened to me and didn't bolt from the situation. That is fun to hear. Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Eileen.
Good.
Sherman says, Steve, can you right, left with your trail rider bit if you have a problem?
Okay, so the trail rider bit, folks, is a finished bit. And it's mainly meant to be used when you are riding one-handed and you can ride 80% off of your legs. All right. Now, can I correct something with the bit? Yes, it's called a correctional mouthpiece. I've taken the port on that mouthpiece, and I've had my bit maker, which is Rainsman, tilt the bit back a little bit. You cannot go on their line, folks, on their catalog, and buy one of my bits. My bit is only sold by me. It's only made for me. So don't think you can contact Rainsman and buy it. Yeah, I can't do that. So let's go back. The port on a horse is more straight up and down. The port on my mule is laid back a little bit because of their palate. Otherwise, the horse bit bumps the palate and they elevate their head rather than put their nose on the vertical. So, yes, since I can, on my bit, since I can individually move it, can I go right, left with it? Yes. The downside of it is this. Since I have no way to be able to keep the nose from sticking out and the head coming up, because most folks don't feel it or know what's going on. If the mule sticks his nose out and throws his head in the air, he's got you. That's where the mule rider's martingale keeps you from doing that. Now, if you are an excellent rider and you feel it in your hands, the second you feel it in your hands, you correct it really quick by going right, left, right, left. Yes. But see, that's the idea of the martingale. Most folks don't have the feel for it. So when the nose goes out and the head goes up, then since they don't have the feel for it, the mule runs off with them. Okay. And if the mule runs off with me, even if the mule rider's martingale, I'm going to put all of my weight on it. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay. Can I lift up a shoulder with my finished bit, my trail rider bit? Yes. Can I get one to stop with my mule rider's martingale, a mule rider's bit, or trail rider's bit? Yes, I can. Okay. It is not for building a foundation. You can correct a problem as long as you have a foundation. Now, let me go back. Okay. And this is really, really important, folks. I know we're running out of time, Dave. I know it's 4 o'clock, but let me give this out. I used to take one of my mules and do demonstrations at these clinics. You would see my mules turn on the forehand, turn on the hind quarters, pick up all 4 feet, jump in a trailer, walk across tarp, whatever I wanted them to do, they do just fine. And everybody in the audience just seen it. Then I would say to the audience, who's been riding for over 20 years? Hands fly up. Come on down here, sir. Climb on my mule, ride it. See what you think. Folks, I'm not kidding you. Not one person in all the years that I've done this, not one person has made that mule, has ridden that mule correctly so that the mule responded like it should. Matter of fact, here's the downside. Here's the downside. And we're all guilty of this. We tend to say it's the mule's fault. It's almost like Adam and Eve, Dave, where Adam said, God, that woman that you gave me, she was the one that caused this problem. The woman that you gave me. No. Okay. So anyway, there it is, Dave. Even though they're trained, they can still be untrained because of the communication levels of the people, the riders.
It's great. Question here from Mike says, I'm 68 years old, had a bad horse wreck in '04, hospital stay was 50 days, part on life support, 30 days in rehab to learn to walk again. My 15-3 horse is getting old and I'm going to retire him to my great-granddaughters. So looking for a mule so that I can get on without help or mounting block. I ride the White Mountains every July for a week, so mule needs to go through water and over logs. Thank you for any help, Mike. So we don't recommend animals. We don't say you should buy this animal. We don't pair people up, but we do say this might be what you want to consider. We do say things like, here's what I would look for. And we do say, send pictures. We'll tell you what we see. We won't tell you whether you should or should not buy an animal, but we'll tell you what we see. Steve, any thoughts for Mike as he's looking for something that can help him go in the White Mountains every July for a week, water, logs, etc.?
Okay. The water, the logs, etc., is not up to the mule, folks. Don't leave nothing up to the mule. Okay, I want you to do this. If you think you can leave it up to the mule, I want you to take your car and I want you to take your hands off the steering wheel. Matter of fact, just climb in the back seat and say, okay, car, get me down the road. It's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen with your mule. Don't depend on the mule to get you across the river. Depend on your communication skills to get you across the river. Don't depend on that donkey to get you over that log. It is your communication skills that teaches that donkey to go over the log. Okay, now the next thing. I don't want to use a mountain block. No, wrong. Use a mountain block, okay? Because the majority of you, and probably even you, sir, by the sounds of it, do not know how to climb in the saddle, all right? Now, Dave, I'm going to give away a T-shirt.
Let's give away T-shirts. Hey!
Are you ready for this? They have to give me, they have to give me the answer. Here's the answer. How do you safely climb on a mule? What is your position? Where are your hands? Where are your feet when you go to climb on a mule? Okay.
We're not necessarily looking for the quote unquote right answer. We're looking for the best answer because there might be one thing that you say is right. Somebody else says a right thing is right. We're going to look for the best answer, the most comprehensive answer. Right, Steve?
Okay, yeah, that's right. Now, this is for the T-shirt. All right. Now here's the next thing. That is you climbing on. Now, I'll give a hat to whoever can tell me how do I tell my mule to stand still to get in the saddle.
All right. So for the T-shirt, it is how do I climb into the saddle, right? How do I mount?
Yeah. Where's my hands? Where do I put my hands? Do I get a hold of the tail and pull myself up? Do I get a hold of his ears and pull? How do I do it? Okay. Here's my hands. What do my hands do? Okay. Now, the next thing he was talking about is mounting block. I'm 5'6". Okay. And right now, Dave, hey, I'm getting to be 200 pounds. That's compared to 215 pounds. Okay. After that hip injury, that's a long story. So let's go back. I always put my mules down into a little low spot, or I used a mounting block, or I used the side of my horse trailer, or I used a log. You got the idea? I used something to help me to keep from get my fat butt up in the saddle. Now, years ago, when I was riding broncs, I used to turn the stirrup, and I'm not going to tell you the rest of it. I'll tell you the rest of it in a minute. But I climbed right up with no problem at all. But I also wasn't carrying this extra 60 pounds that I got now.
So the question is, how do I for the hat is it how do I prepare my mule to mount?
Yes.
All right.
For the shirt, how do I Where do I
Shirt
put
is
my
where do I
hands?
put
How
my
do I sit?
hands? How do I climb in? And then mount. How do I prepare my mule to mount? So we'll give folks a second to put that in there. While they're typing in, Eileen says, will you see the mule's head elevate as he is taking the bit, or is it too late by then?
No, it's not too late by them. Okay, it's not too late, because if you see the head going, you immediately go right, left, right, left, right, left. I mean, don't wait, don't ask, tell, demand. Go right into a demanding stage, because if his nose is sticking out and his head's up, he's getting ready to run off. You got a runaway on your hands. Okay, I've had him run me through barbed wire fences, through cholla cactus, jump off of cliffs, run into cars, all kinds of stuff. Okay, and so, therefore, when you see the nose go up, the head go up, you do your best to rip their head off. And that's the easiest way I can say it. Either you end up in the hospital, or they end up with a little bit of a sore mouth.
So while folks are typing in their answers there, Trace is watching from Lowood, Queensland, Australia. That means we've gone international again.
Wow.
Let's see here. Lorraine is watching from Cloudy Canyon Country, California. Storm coming at the end of the week. So sweet of Steve to take the time to personally phone me to thank me for my order. So that was great to hear from you. Rosemary is watching from Kennewick, Washington. And we've got some of our comments here. Now, I'll read the answers here in a second, and we'll award a hat, we'll award a t-shirt. I just want to give folks a heads up. Now, as soon as the time changes, now out here in Arizona, we are the wild, wild west. And while the rest of the country observes daylight savings time, we do not. So when you go to, I think it's winding back your clocks, we are going to basically be on, it's going to be the same time here for us, but it's going to be, I think, 1 hour earlier for everybody else. So this isn't next week's program, and it's not the week after, but 3 weeks from now. So just an FYI, it's still 3 o'clock Arizona time, but all of a sudden Arizona and California both share the same time for Pacific Daylight. It's kind of complicated. Just know the time is a-changing. The times, they are a-changing. All right, let's see here. We've got a few comments, so I'm going to read them. Now, just FYI, you can only win one thing today. So, Dave O'Brien, you're participating. We love it. One win per person today. So let's roll down here. We've got your hand is grabbing. The main left hand is grabbing the mane. Your right hand is grabbing the horn. Don't say anything yet. Hips close and swing over. Grab the horn and the mane. Let's see here. Tip the nose to the left. Grab some mane and stay more close to the front of the saddle. Grab a hunk of mane. Don't swing off the horn. So there's a mounting block with one hand on reins and horn swing leg over. Which did you hear that was the best answer, Steve?
Okay, the best answer I heard was tip the nose to the left. That way the left brain is looking at you. Put your left hand on the mane, right hand on the horn, and climb on.
So I think we'll go Eileen. Eileen says tip the nose to the left, grab some mane, and stay close to the front of the saddle. Does that work for us, Steve?
Yep, she's got the hand on the horn. I thought I heard something like that.
We might have had somebody else had hand on the horn, but she got 2 out of 3. She got 2 out of 3. We'll do 2 out of 3. Does that sound good?
Sound good.
Awesome, Eileen. Thank you for participating. That one was for the shirt, and now we're talking about the saddle here, or the horn, the hat. All right, for the hat.
How do you prepare the mule to climb on?
So here's a few. You shake the saddle first before you get in. We've got shake the saddle. We've got shake the saddle. We've got, let's see here. Yeah, that's it right there. Shake the saddle, shake the saddle, shake the saddle first before you get in. Is that the answer, Steve?
All three are exactly good answers. I think I like the one that says shake the saddle before you get in.
All right, let me see here. So, shake the saddle before you get in. That's actually from Dave O'Brien. He's already getting a hat. So let's go with Sherman Johnson. Johnson Taxidermy.
Yeah.
You've won a hat. We're so glad to have you here each and every week. Johnson, you sent in a picture of you in your shirt, so you got the hat. You can complete the full Steve Edwards wardrobe. It's the 2023 collection, limited to until we run out and decide not to order more. So y'all send a message to Steve at muleranch.com, or you can send him a text message. That's great. Get him the information. And Eileen says, may I give my shirt to someone who does not have it? And yes, you can. And let's see here. Who had the next best answer? Let's go here. Man, Dave O'Brien just has all the right answers.
He's getting to be quite the bronc rider, quite the mule trainer, that Dave.
Let's see. I'm trying to find. All right. Yeah, you know what, Eileen? Find somebody in there and offer it to them. I'm having a hard time locating all the different ones. You find someone, or y'all just chat in the chat section there. Y'all find someone, and that'll be great. Steve, real quick, I want to remind folks, Montana is coming up June 2 through 4. Y'all can get registered at muleranch.com. Here is a link in the comments section to get registered for Montana. In addition, real quick, what do y'all think? We've got a little bit of a contest here. Well, not even a contest, just a survey. We want to know what you think. And I've got a link that I'm going to share with y'all right now. It is, let's see, saddle pad. Where is that link? I've got a link. Saddle pad vote. Here we go. We want to know, what do you like the most? Steve, what are we looking at here?
Well, we're looking at some new pads that are up and coming. Pad 1, Pad 2, and Pad 3, which they're all the same built. So they're built for the heavy-duty pad, but they're different colors. So, and as you can see, close to about the same pattern. Which color and pattern do you like the best? Okay. Now, we could do a special deal, Dave. Now, let me think on this a little bit. Next week, we're going to do a special deal on these pads. Yeah.
That sounds great. Let's do it. Let's do a special deal on the pads next week. Y'all go ahead, click the link in the comment section for folks who are watching on the replay. If you want to get in on it, you go to muleranch.com/saddle-pad-vote. Saddle-pad-vote. And let us know what you like the most. Go to muleranch.com/saddle-pad-vote. Let us know. It'll be a lot of fun to see what you all find exciting. And Steve, we'll see you here next time, the same time next week.
Hey, I'll be your Huckleberry.
All right, sounds good. Y'all take care. We will talk to you very soon. God bless. And hey, we'll see you in Montana. Bye-bye, everyone.